So today is Wednesday, January 19th, 2022, and big questions from little people. That's what we're going to read today. We're going to probably read about 2 stories, so let's see what little people have to ask. How Far Away is Space by Marcus Chown, author of books about space and the universe. Probably you think space is thousands of even millions of miles away. Actually, space is only about 20 miles from your doorstep, straight up. Almost certainly you could walk 20 miles, though you would get very tired and likely moan a lot. But to go 20 miles straight up, you need a rocket. Rockets are actually very bad at getting into space. Though the trouble is there is no rocket fuel strong enough to boost itself plus the metal skin of the rocket into space and go on. The only way people can get a rocket into space is by throwing a part of it away when the rocket is high up in the air. This makes what is left of the rocket lighter, and so it's easier for the fuel to boost it all into space. Imagine if every time your mom or dad drove to the supermarket, they threw away most of the car, leaving only the steering wheel and 4 tires. So the next time they went to the supermarket, they had to rebuild the car. Ridiculous, huh? But that is just what they have to do for rockets. Rebuild them for each launch. No wonder it's so expensive to get into space. About $500 million for each launch of American space shuttle. The insensible way to get into space would to build a ladder 20 miles high. Unfortunately, a ladder that high, even made out of the strongest metal we have, would crumble under its own weight. But stronger materials are being invented all the time. There is a good chance that you will see something like a space ladder, more commonly known as the space elevator, built in your lifetime. Then, at last, it will be cheap and easy to get into space. We may even go there for our holidays. Alright, bear with me, you guys. I didn't have my coffee tea. Alright, one more story, and let me know which story you like the best. How far is space? And the next one is going to be, how does lightning happen? Professor Kathy Sykes. She's a physicist. So physics, she's a physicist. I hope I'm saying that right. How does lightning happen? Watching lightning in the sky can be spectacular. It looks so mysterious, and even now we don't know everything about it. We know that it usually happens in cumulus clouds, ones that are incredibly high, even sometimes reaching over 12 miles. These clouds form during thunderstorms. They are often dark and angry, looking at sometimes have a veil at the top, an area of cloud that extends a long way from the middle of the cloud and can look like the top of the mushroom. Within cumulus clouds, there are very strong winds, so strong that it's dangerous for small planes to fly into these clouds. The winds carry moist air upwards into the cold areas high up, and rain and ice particles form. We think the rain and the ice and winds inside the cloud may be what makes lightning form. But before we talk any more about lightning actually happens, we need to understand a little about atoms. Everything is made up of atoms. You are made up of atoms. So are rocks, water, animals, planets, and air molecules. atoms contain positive charges balanced by negative charges, which are called electrons. Usually, these positive and negative charges stay closely bonded together because they attract each and strong one. Negative electrons gather at the bottom of the cloud, and positive charges are swept up to the top of the cloud by winds. Especially how the charges separate is not totally understood. Scientists have different theories, but once there is a buildup of negative charge at the bottom of the cloud, the positive charge at the top, there's possibly a lightning forming. The charges want to come back together again. The strong negative charge at the base of the cloud wants to become becomes neutral again by connecting either with the positive charge at the top of the cloud or with the ground below, which is relatively positive. Especially the charge differences are so great that the electrons actually start trying to get to the ground. A steep ladder forms. This is the name of the first streak of lightning. Coming from the cloud, unusually over 50 meters long. This will branch and more steep ladders form. As these get closer to the ground, positive charges on the ground want to connect to the strong negative charge of the tip of the lightning. If you feel your hair beginning to stand at the end of the lightning storm, start worrying. It will be because the positive charge on you are wanting to connect with the negative charges in the cloud, and you are being attracted to a steep ladder. Your hair are able to move and show when charges on you are trying to move towards something. After a short time, a steep ladder reaches the ground, or positive charges from the ground will reach you. Then the lightning has struck, and pulses of electric charge go to and from the cloud. It's the positive charges going from the ground, called the return stroke, that are actually the really bright parts of the lightning. The stepped ladder are almost invisible. Sometimes you can see lightning within clouds or between them. The negative charges from the bottom can form steep ladders, which go from the bottom of the clouds to the top. Either way, the amazing scene in the atmosphere's way of trying to balance the charges that have become separate. Okay, you guys, that was a lot. We can definitely read this all over again if you want to, but for the most part, this was very interesting. It was very rejuvenating. This is Big Questions from Little People by, I'm going to say Mrs. or Mr. Harris. So with that being stated, thank you so much for reading with me. Sorry I'm a little delayed. I didn't have my coffee, but for the most part, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot about thundering, atoms, electrons, positive and negative, and how it affects people, probably on Earth. Take care. Have a great one.